-5 to -30-degree wind chills this weekend. You need to hear those numbers again. -5 to -30 degrees across the Great Lakes and Northeast. That's the kind of cold that causes frostbite in 15 minutes. But here, what nobody is talking about. This Arctic blast is just the beginning. A massive pattern shift is coming February 10th that will bring severe weather, flooding rains, and major snowstorms to completely different parts of the country. In the next 20 minutes, I am breaking down exactly when this shift happens, which cities get hit hardest, and why this could be one of the most extreme weather sequences we've seen this winter. But first, I need something from you right now. Drop your city or state in the comments immediately. Here's why. Tomorrow's forecast is going to be hyper-specific to your location, and I am going through every single comment tonight to make sure I address your area. The more specific you are with your location, the better I can tailor tomorrow as update for you. So comment right now while you rethinking about it. Here's your reward for staying with me. Let me hit you with the numbers that are about to define your week. Kentucky, 28,000 still without power and freezing temperatures. Mississippi, 46,000 without power. Florida, 18,000 without power on their coldest day in years, breaking records across the state. Louisiana, 7,000. North Carolina, 4,000. Hawaii, almost 4,000. New York, 2,200. South Carolina, 2,000. These aren't just numbers. These are families who have been in the cold all week, and for some of you, the worst wind chills are still ahead. But here's what nobody is talking about. While the South finally gets relief next week, a completely different weather pattern takes over. One that brings its own set of extreme threats. This isn't just another cold snap. This is a continental-scale pattern flip. We re-talking storms training from the Pacific all the way across the subtropical jet into the central United States. From February 6th and 7th, you are dealing with one more Arctic blast. But starting February 10th and 11th, next Wednesday and beyond, everything changes. The models are in strong agreement on this. Both the GFS and European models show this shift, and when those two agree, you pay attention. Let me explain what's actually happening in the atmosphere, because this matters for understanding what's coming. Right now, we're in a positive phase of something called the Pacific North American pattern. Think of it like this. It's a giant wave in the jet stream that determines which side of the country gets the ridge of high pressure and warmth, and which side gets the deep trough and cold. Right now, that pattern favors extreme cold across the eastern two-thirds of the country. But as we move toward February 9th, we flip into a negative phase. That means the deep trough shifts to the west coast, storms start rolling in there, and we build a high-pressure ridge from the Central Plains all the way to the Great Lakes. That's your warm air. Now here's where it gets interesting. The Arctic Oscillation tells us about cold air coming down into North America. We stay in a negative phase, meaning cold air stays locked over the continent all the way until that February 10th timeframe. Then it retracts. But it doesn't go way positive. It hovers near neutral. You know what that means? The cold air doesn't leave. It just repositions. It shifts to the northern tier and keeps the battle zone active right across the central United States. That where warm air from the Gulf meets cold air from Canada. That collision creates severe weather. That collision creates major snowstorms. That's the setup we walking into. The latest model run this morning showed something critical. The European model is now showing this warm push arriving even sooner than yesterday's runs indicated. The pattern shift that was expected around February 11th might now start as early as February 10th or even 9th. Both models are aggressively pushing this ridge eastward faster than previous runs. When models speed up timing like this, it tells me the atmospheric forcing is strong. This isn't a weak signal. This is a dominant pattern asserting itself. But here's what makes this different from a typical February thaw. This isn't just about warmer temperatures. It's about the sequence. You're going to see these systems training across the country one after another. The Pacific jet opens up. Storm after storm rolls through. Each one taps Gulf moisture. Each one has the potential for severe weather in the south and heavy snow on the northern edge where it meets that lingering cold air. This is what meteorologists call an active pattern, and it could persist for days, possibly into mid-February. Just like I promised at the start, here's your detailed breakdown city by city, region by region. I am going to vary my delivery, so this doesn't feel like a weather robot reading a list. These are real impacts for real places. Let us start with everyone still suffering right now. Kentucky, you are at 28,000 without power. Thursday morning brings another punch of cold. Wind chills drop into the single digits. Some of you in the northern counties could see wind chills flirt with 0 or just below. Friday, that cold transitions east, but you are still below freezing. Your relief comes Monday and Tuesday of next week when highs finally push into the 40s and low 50s. That's February 10th and 11th. For the first time in over a week, you'll feel temperatures above freezing for a sustained period. Mississippi, 46,000 of you without power. This is rough. Thursday, you are getting one more blast with morning wind chills in the teens across the northern half of the state. The Delta region could see upper teens to low 20s. Friday improves slightly, but you are still dealing with freezing temperatures in the morning. Your big warm-up arrives Monday. Highs jump into the upper 50s and low 60s. Tuesday pushes into the mid-60s. By Wednesday, February 12th, you could be touching 70 degrees. But here's the catch. With that warmth comes heavy rain and the potential for severe thunderstorms. That warm, moist air has to go somewhere, and when it collides with any lingering cool air, we get storms. Florida, 18,000 without power on what became a historic cold morning. You set records yesterday and this morning across the state. Thursday brings a slight recovery, but you are still cold with highs only in the 50s and low 60s. By Monday and Tuesday, southern Florida, you are back in the 70s. Wednesday and Thursday of next week, you are pushing into the low 80s across South Florida. This is the February warmth you are used to. But Central and North Florida, you're still going to see those cool mornings with frost potential through the weekend. Louisiana, 7,000 without power. Your Thursday wind chills drop into the low 20s for northern parishes, upper 20s for the south. Friday stays cold. But Monday, you jump into the low 60s. Tuesday hits mid-60s. And by Wednesday, February 12th, you are looking at upper 60s to low 70s with increasing humidity and rain chances. That's the shift. Cold and dry gives way to warm and wet. Now let's jump to the northeast where the most extreme wind chills are still ahead. New York, 2,200 still without power. Saturday and Sunday are your brutal days. We are talking wind chills from -5 to -20 degrees across upstate. The southern tier, the Catskills, the Adirondacks, you are in dangerous cold territory. Frostbite can occur in 15 to 30 minutes on exposed skin. This is not exaggerated. This is real. Sunday, that extreme cold shifts slightly east toward New England, but you are still feeling it. Your warm-up doesn't arrive until the middle of next week, and even then you are only climbing into the 30s and low 40s. You are staying in winter mode longer than the South. Great Lakes, you are getting hammered with multiple cold shots. Saturday and Sunday bring those -5 to -30 degree wind chills I mentioned at the start. Chicago, you are looking at wind chills around -10 to -20 Saturday morning. Milwaukee, you could touch -20 to -25. Minneapolis, you've seen worse, but you are still hitting -20 to -30. Detroit, -15 to -25. These are the numbers that shut cities down. This is the cold that kills. If you are in the Great Lakes region, you know this drill, but I am reminding you anyway. Limit outdoor exposure. Check on elderly neighbors. Make sure your car has at least half a tank of gas. Let faucets drip Saturday and Sunday night. Cleveland, you are in the bullseye for Saturday morning. Wind chills around -15 to -20. Then as we move into next week, you get a brief warm-up Monday and Tuesday with highs in the upper 30s to low 40s. But here's where your forecast gets interesting. Wednesday or Thursday next week, you rewrite in the zone where a storm system could develop. This is where that warm air pushing north meets the cold air that never fully left. If the track sets up right, you could see significant snow Wednesday night into Thursday. It's too early for totals, but the pattern is there. This is the setup that produces. Ohio Valley, Tennessee, you are getting a mixed bag next week. Tuesday and Wednesday, you warm up nicely, touching the 50s and even low 60s. But Wednesday or Thursday, that cold front I just mentioned sweeps through. You are on the southern edge of any potential snow. More likely you see rain, possibly heavy at times with a rumble of thunder. But if the cold air digs a bit deeper, parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio could see a period of snow or ice before it changes to rain. Geographic location matters here. A shift of 50 miles changes your forecast completely. West Virginia, you are in a similar boat. Wednesday, you could be 50 degrees. Thursday morning, you could wake up to snow if a storm develops along that frontal boundary. This is the challenge with these pattern transitions. The temperature gradient is sharp, the moisture is abundant. Small track changes matter enormously. Now let's move west where things get interesting in a different way. Western United States, you've been warm, ridiculously warm for late January and early February. But that's about to change. As the pattern flips and that trough digs into the west coast, storms roll in. The Pacific Northwest, you are first in line. Starting around February 9th or 10th, a series of storms impacts you. Heavy rain for the coasts and valleys, heavy snow for the Cascades and Sierra Nevada. This could be measured in feet at higher elevations. After weeks of dry weather and high pressure, you reflipping to an active wet pattern. California, especially Northern California, this is your atmospheric river setup. Storm after storm tapping tropical moisture and slamming into the coast. Flooding is a concern, especially if these systems come in rapid succession. The Central Valley could see several inches of rain over multiple days. The Sierra picks up feet of snow. This is the pattern that closes mountain passes and causes travel nightmares. If you're replanning any mountain travel after February 10th, monitor forecasts closely. Four Corners region, you are in that transition zone. As the trough digs, you get colder air and potentially some snow. Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, your cold arrives in waves starting around February 10th or 11th and continuing through mid-month. Flagstaff, you could see accumulating snow. Albuquerque gets cold. Denver, you are used to swings, but this pattern keeps you below average for an extended stretch. Midwest, you are staying cold longer than the South. Even as the Southeast warms into the 60s and 70s next week, you are still dealing with highs in the 20s and 30s. North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, winter doesn't end in early February. But what's notable is the persistence. You're not getting much relief. And with each passing cold front, you're getting clipper systems. Light snow, maybe an inch or two here and there. Nothing major on its own, but it adds up, and that snowpack sticks around, keeping your temperatures suppressed. Kansas City, you were right in that battle zone I mentioned. Tuesday and Wednesday next week, you warm up, highs in the 50s. But Wednesday night or Thursday, a storm system could develop right over you. This is where the models are still working out details, but the pattern is classic for a significant winter storm. Warm air pushes north, cold air dives south. They meet somewhere over Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska. Heavy snow on the cold side, heavy rain and storms on the warm side. Your forecast next week depends entirely on which side of that line you fall. St. Louis, same story. You could be 55 degrees Wednesday afternoon and waking up to 4 inches of snow Thursday morning if that system sets up right. It is too early for specifics, but this is a forecast you will want to watch daily next week. Des Moines, Omaha, you are likely on the colder side of any system that develops. If a storm forms along that boundary Wednesday or Thursday, you are looking at snow, potentially heavy snow. The European model this morning hinted at a strong system developing around February 12th. The GFS is less aggressive but still shows a storm. When we get closer, I'll have better details. Here's what just got more complicated. This isn't just one storm. This is a pattern that could produce multiple storms over a week to 10-day period. That first system around February 12th or 13th could be followed by another around February 14th or 15th. And the model data this morning suggests that pattern could persist even longer. This is what happens when you get into an active Pacific jet pattern. The storms keep training across, one right after another, each one bringing its own set of impacts. For the South, that means rounds of heavy rain and severe weather potential. For the central United States and Great Lakes, that means repeated chances for snow, especially on the northern edge where cold air hangs on. For the West, that means persistent rain and mountain snow. This isn't a one-and-done event. This is a multi-day, potentially multi-week pattern shift. Now let me talk practical impacts because this isn't just about temperatures and snow totals. This is about how this affects your life. If you in the Great Lakes or Northeast this weekend, frostbite is the main concern. -5 to -30-degree wind chills mean exposed skin can freeze in 15 to 30 minutes. If you have to be outside, cover every inch of skin. Wear layers. Limit your time outdoors. This is especially critical for anyone working outside, kids waiting for buses, or people without adequate housing. For those still without power, this is life-threatening cold. If you know anyone in Kentucky, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, North Carolina, or South Carolina without power, check on them. Make sure they have a warm place to go. Warming centers are open in most counties. This isn't something to tough out. Next week, when we transition to that warmer, wetter pattern, the concerns change. Heavy rain becomes the issue for the South and Southeast. If we get training storms, meaning multiple systems taking similar paths, flash flooding is possible. Ground that's been frozen for days doesn't absorb water well initially. That first heavy rain could run off quickly. For the central U.S., if those storm systems develop as the models suggest, travel could be significantly impacted. February 12th through 15th, keep an eye on forecasts if you have travel plans through the Midwest or Great Lakes. Winter storms during this pattern transition can be tricky. They often produce heavy, wet snow that is difficult to clear and causes power outages. Let me address the uncertainty because I want to be transparent with you. Long-range forecasting is hard. These pattern shifts are real. The data is consistent. But the exact timing, track, and intensity of individual storm systems can and will change. That storm I mentioned for Wednesday or Thursday next week, the track could shift 50 miles and completely change who gets snow versus who gets rain. The intensity could ramp up or weaken. I'll have much better clarity on this as we get within 3 to 5 days. What I'm confident about is the pattern itself. The flip from cold east, warm west to warm east, cold west is happening. The active storm track developing across the country is happening. The specific details of individual systems are what we'll refine day by day. And here is something else to watch. The long-range data, particularly the European model, suggests this active pattern could persist all the way into mid-February. That means even after that initial storm around February 12th, we could see additional systems February 14th, 15th, maybe even beyond. This isn't a quick hit. This is a sustained pattern shift. For weather enthusiasts, this is the kind of pattern we study. For everyone else, it means you need to stay informed daily because conditions could change significantly from one day to the next. Way too early for details, but not too early to track. There are hints in the long-range data of another significant system potentially around February 16th or 17th. Again, way too early to commit to anything, but the pattern supports it. That's why you need to come back tomorrow and the day after and every day next week. This is an evolving forecast. Let me recap the timeline so it's crystal clear. Thursday and Friday, February 6th and 7th, one more Arctic blast primarily for the south and east. Saturday and Sunday, February 8th and 9th, extreme wind chills for the Great Lakes and Northeast. -5 to -30 degrees. Monday and Tuesday, February 10th and 11th, the warm-up begins for the south and southeast. 60s and 70s return. Wednesday and Thursday, February 12th and 13th, potential significant storm system for the central U.S. Heavy rain and severe weather possible for the south. Heavy snow possible for the central plains, Midwest, and Great Lakes on the northern edge. Beyond that, February 14th through 16th, the pattern stays active with additional storm chances. Preparation deadlines matter. If you're in the Great Lakes or Northeast, today and tomorrow are your days to prepare for this weekend's extreme cold. Make sure you have enough heating fuel. Check on vulnerable neighbors. Bring pets inside. For the South and Southeast, your relief is just days away. But next week, Wednesday or Thursday, you need to be ready for heavy rain and possible severe weather. For the central U.S., by Tuesday of next week, you will want to be monitoring forecasts closely for that midweek storm potential. Make sure you resubscribed because tomorrow's update is critical. I'll have refined model data overnight. I'll have better clarity on that midweek storm, and I am going through every comment tonight, so if you dropped your location, I'll address it specifically. Hit the bell icon so you get notified the moment I upload. This is not the time to miss an update. I know everyone wants to know when this ends. When do we get back to normal February weather? The honest answer is we might not for a while. The pattern we re-entering is active. It favors storm development. It keeps things interesting if we re-being generous or chaotic if we re-being honest. But that winter, that February. You get these big pattern shifts and they don't resolve quickly. 6 more weeks of winter, remember that. Weather forecasting walks a fine line. I want to inform you without scaring you. I want to give you the facts without sensationalizing. If I've succeeded today, I appreciate you trusting me with your time. If this forecast helped you prepare, hit that like button. It helps more people see this information. Tomorrow's video drops by 8 a.m. Eastern, possibly earlier if major changes occur overnight with the models. You will want that information. Track changes are possible. Timing could shift. Intensity could ramp up. The models will refine overnight, and I'll be here to break it down for you. Drop your city one more time in the comments if you haven't already. Let me know where you were watching from. Let me know what you were most concerned about. The cold, the upcoming storms, the power outages. I read every comment, and it helps me understand what information matters most to you. This is going to be one of the most significant pattern shifts we've seen this winter, from deep freeze to active storms, from record cold to severe weather potential, from coast-to-coast impacts. You're going to want to stay informed every single day. Check on elderly neighbors when that extreme cold hits this weekend. Help anyone you know who is still without power. When those storms roll through next week, have a plan. Know where you're going if severe weather threatens. Thank you for trusting me with your weather information. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow morning, same time, we'll have critical updates on that midweek storm potential. We'll have refined snowfall forecasts. We'll have better clarity on severe weather threats. You won't want to miss it. Make sure you resubscribe. Turn on notifications. I'll see you tomorrow morning with everything you need to know. Stay safe out there.